You reached for your phone before your eyes even adjusted to the light this morning. That wasn't a bad habit. That was your nervous system running a panicked threat scan. And before you even sat up, your biology had already decided today was dangerous. Every time you burn out, every time that intense drive hollows out into pure exhaustion, leaving you staring at a wall with a heavy chest, you tell yourself you lack discipline. You don't. The system running underneath you was never explained to you. You were fighting something biological, completely blind. That was never a fair game. There is a specific kind of paralysis that only hits people who actually want to succeed. You know the one. You open Instagram just to check, just for a second, and something shifts. Your ancient neurology is being quietly tricked into comparing your survival against the curated highlight reels of 8 billion strangers. And it responds the only way it knows how. It enters threat mode. This is where it gets precise. Scientists call this allostatic load, a slow chemical buildup that literally ages your cells and quietly kills your ambition long before anything visibly breaks down. Which is a strange thing to sit with, because it means the paralysis you felt wasn't weakness, it was chemistry. Once you understand the 4 biological steps we're breaking down today, this specific cycle becomes structurally impossible to repeat. First, we stop the visual hijack, destroying your focus before your day even starts. Then, we clear the toxic waste, choking your brain cells from the inside. Third, we shatter the defeat signal, aging you quietly in the background. And finally, we build the one human structure that keeps it all from collapsing again. If you miss even one of these steps, the loop just resets. You'll be back to losing your focus, carrying that heavy, stuck feeling, watching the same cycle play out again tomorrow morning. Be honest with yourself for a second. How many times have you sat down to work, told yourself today would be different, and picked up your phone just for 30 seconds, and then, somehow, 40 minutes later, you're watching someone your age walk through their new apartment, smiling, clearly winning, and this quiet, heavy shame just settles into your chest. That reaction isn't weakness. It's actually something much more specific than that. Your amygdala cannot tell the difference between a physical predator and a stranger's success on a screen. Every highlight reel triggers the exact same survival response, pulling your thinking brain completely offline before you've even started your day. And here is the part nobody names. The first biological step is already in your hands. Go to Settings, Accessibility, Color Filters, and switch your phone to grayscale. Saturated colors hijack your visual cortex, tricking your brain into treating the screen like a vital, life or death reward. When you strip it to gray, your brain immediately recognizes it as dead, synthetic space. The dopamine loop just breaks. Clinical research confirms that this is the exact moment your nervous system stops defending itself and lets your executive function come back online. Which is strange, because the fix was that simple the whole time. Now your focus is back, but there's a second layer of damage happening, and this one hits right at your desk. You've had days like this. You sat there for 11 hours, produced almost nothing. Your thoughts just looped. You kept reopening the same tabs. At 7 p.m., you closed your laptop, feeling this deep guilt, thinking you just needed more discipline, more willpower. But something entirely different was happening inside your brain. That distinction matters more than it sounds. Your neurology runs on strict 90-minute energy cycles. Think of your brain cells like a battery. They rely on specific fluids, electrolytes like sodium and potassium, to fire the electrical sparks that keep you focused. But when you push past that invisible wall, the biological battery inside your head physically breaks down. Those fluids misfire, compound with stress hormones, and convert into metabolic waste. It's like battery acid leaking inside your own skull. You're sitting there generating heat, but zero forward motion. Hustle culture says work 12 hours until the guilt goes away. But deep inside your body, that agreement is destroying your cells. The second step is this: set a 90-minute alarm. Total focus until it fires. Then, physically stand up and leave your desk for 20 minutes. That is the only window where your brain can flush that toxic waste out. You come back and your natural drive is restored. If understanding your burnout as a biological trap just shifted something how you see yourself subscribe, this is where we decode the mind. Now your energy is restored, but restored energy is useless if your nervous system secretly believes it has already lost. When you look at your student debt, your entry-level title, the gap between where you are and where you thought you'd be Deep in your subconscious, something registers that as being trapped in a hierarchy you cannot escape. That activates the loser effect. Your body literally stops repairing cells and shifts into pure survival chemistry. But something about this changes everything. Your debt isn't just a financial burden, it's an IV drip-feeding defeat chemistry directly into your system every single morning. But here's what that biology doesn't actually need. It doesn't need the hierarchy's permission to survive. Take this third step. Make $100 this week, completely outside your normal job. Sell a skill directly to one person. Your subconscious doesn't care about the dollar amount. It only registers the living proof that the hierarchy is optional. That single moment of autonomous survival shatters the loser effect at its root. And then there's one final fracture, the most dangerous one, because it disguises itself as a social problem when it is actually a physical injury. There is a region in your brain called the DACC. It registers the pain of a broken bone, but it activates at the exact same intensity during social isolation. Every week you grind alone without a real physical support circle, your nervous system is walking on an untreated fracture. Research shows this chronic isolation spikes mortality risk by 26%. And here is the part nobody names. Your group chats don't fix this. The biological healing signal your stress response needs is acoustic, the actual physical frequency of a real human voice, triggering oxytocin. Texting delivers 0% of that. You've been treating a broken bone with a photograph of a cast. Identify 5 people whose actual voice you trust. Call them today. Commit to hearing their voice every single week. Drop the peripheral connections that feel social but cost you energy. Build this finite living fortress around your biology. Look at what just happened here. You didn't get a pep talk. You didn't get told to try harder. You stripped the visual hijack so your focus could return. You flushed the toxic waste so your real energy came back. You generated outside proof to kill your rank anxiety. And you built a biological fortress so isolation can never quietly fracture you again. That is how you cure the paralysis. Not by fighting your biology, but by finally understanding it well enough to command it. The burnout you felt yesterday was just a symptom of a system nobody ever explained to you. Now you hold the map. The exhaustion is handled, you're back in control. But if the version of you that used to feel genuine excitement about your work has been quiet for months, that specific reward circuit is still neurologically dormant. How to safely wake it back up, we decode that next. The self-architect. Decode the mind, design the life.